4 victories, 4 days, and honestly, one massive traffic jam. I mean, just imagine the absolute logistical nightmare of planning a Roman triumph. You've got to coordinate thousands of victorious soldiers, captured prisoners, and exotic spoils all ascending the steep Clivus Capitolinus in perfect, awe-inspiring order. That immense logistical flex, it wasn't just a parade, it was a weapon. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving into how ancient Roman leaders engineered power and maintained control. It's this wild journey of how they shifted their ultimate instrument of authority from the blunt, bloody force of the sword right into the enduring, manipulative mastery of stone. Let's get into it.
So, here's the fundamental question at the heart of our explainer today. How on earth do you control the greatest empire in the world and its incredibly restless populace? We're looking at the ultimate central problem of ancient Rome, managing a vast, diverse, and frankly volatile crowd without getting yourself overthrown or, assassinated in the process.
Here's our roadmap. We'll briefly cover the landscape of power, Caesar's rise to supremacy, the fall of the dictator, the ultimate propaganda machine, engineering the spectacle, and finally, seeding the social order. Moving right along. Section 1. The landscape of power. Let's ground ourselves in the actual physical space where this epic drama unfolded, because in Rome, geography was totally destiny.
Picture this. We're flying over the Capitoline Hill, hovering right past the massive temple of Jupiter Optimus Maximus, and looking straight down into the dense, crowded valley of the Roman Forum. This specific area was the absolute, undisputed center of the world's most powerful empire. The streets down there, absolutely packed. Citizens, politicians, monuments of past glories everywhere. Basically, whoever controlled this physical space controlled the known world.
All right, Section 2. Caesar's rise to supremacy. The crucial point here is how Julius Caesar first tried to assert absolute control over this deeply symbolic landscape. And, well, he did it the old-fashioned way, through overwhelming military dominance.
Looking at this timeline, it perfectly condenses Caesar's whirlwind civil war campaigns. He didn't just fight, he systematically crushed opposition across Egypt, Asia, Africa, and Spain. These 4 specific campaigns culminated in his unprecedented 4-day quadruple triumph in Rome. It was an absolute masterclass in logistical planning and military intimidation. I mean, coordinating thousands of troops, captives, and loot to parade perfectly through the city, unbelievable logistical nightmare. But it proved to the populace, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that his control was absolute.
But Caesar didn't just understand logistics, right? He was a PR genius. After defeating King Pharnaces and Pontus in literally just 5 days, Caesar sent this simple, now legendary message back to Rome. I came, I saw, I conquered. It's a brilliant piece of propaganda, perfectly designed to project this image of unstoppable, lightning-fast military dominance directly to the people waiting back in the Forum.
So he takes those military victories and leverages them to amass an unprecedented level of political power, essentially entirely bypassing the traditional checks and balances of the Republic. He made himself the sole ruler by just stacking title upon title. Dictator for 1 year, then 10 years, taking on censorial powers, and even appointing himself prefect of morals. Talk about a power grab. Which brings us to Section 3, the fall of the dictator. Because controlling Rome through overt, blunt force dictatorship, that came with deadly risks. The Romans had a deeply ingrained historical hatred of kings. Caesar started adopting visual language that looked, dangerously monarchical. He's accepting titles like Father of the Country, sitting in a special ivory and gold chair in the Senate, even wearing the red boots associated with past kings. Now, to be fair, his allies saw these honors as completely deserved for saving the state. But his political rivals, they viewed this imagery as a direct existential threat to the Republic itself, especially during that Lupercalia incident where Mark Antony publicly offered him a crown. And that overaccumulation of power, combined with all those flashy visuals of kingship, ultimately alienated the elite. It led directly to his bloody assassination on the Ides of March at the hands of the very senators he'd often pardoned. The lesson here was crystal clear. Military force and dictatorial titles alone simply couldn't safely control the Roman populace or its incredibly ambitious elite.
Let's jump into Section 4, the ultimate propaganda machine. Fast forward through a few decades of devastating civil war and instability, and Emperor Vespasian figures out a far more subtle and, honestly, brilliant way to control the masses.
This is the real turning point. Caesar had this fatal top-down power grab that essentially stripped power away from the people.
Vespasian, on the other hand, stepping in after the tyrant Emperor Nero, pulled off a sheer genius PR move. He took the site of Nero's opulent, private artificial lake, which was a massive symbol of elite greed, drained the whole thing, and built a massive amphitheater for the public. He literally gave the heart of the city back to the people.
And he did it on a mind-blowing scale. Over 50,000 spectators could fit inside the Flavian amphitheater, which we now know better as the Colosseum. It was the largest amphitheater ever built, just a massive mountain of travertine stone, constructed in under a decade. This wasn't just a building, guys. It was pure architectural propaganda.
Section 5. Engineering the spectacle. Now, to keep those 50,000 people inside, completely distracted and endlessly entertained, the Romans relied on unprecedented mechanical engineering. They literally turned the arena into a machine of wonders. Just think about the sheer logistics of staging a Naumachia, a full-on naval battle. Early in the Colosseum's history, they could actually remove the wooden floor, divert water from the nearby aqueducts, and flood the entire basin for hours. Then, they'd bring in actual warships filled with condemned prisoners to fight to the death. Being able to rapidly transform a dry arena into a flooded lake and then drain it right into the sewer system, that is an unbelievable flex of Rome's absolute dominance over nature itself. Later on, they added the hypogeum right beneath the sand. It was this hot, incredibly loud, meticulously organized two-story backstage labyrinth. You had hundreds of slaves and workers operating 28 massive, original winch-operated lifts. This allowed fully formed scenic sets, gladiators, and exotic beasts from the very edges of the empire to just burst out of secret trapdoors, appearing to the crowd as if by absolute magic. And they didn't just control the ground, they engineered the weather. They used actual sailors from the Roman Navy stationed at 240 massive masts around the top rim to rig up a colossal retractable awning called the velarium. It kept the audience completely shaded from the blistering Mediterranean sun, ensuring the crowd stayed comfortable all day long. Why? So they'd stick around to absorb the imperial messaging, of course. Which brings us to Section 6, Seating the Social Order. This is perhaps the most fascinating part of all, because the Colosseum wasn't just about bloody entertainment. It was a rigidly structured, inescapably strict microcosm of Roman society. The real underlying purpose of the building was social engineering. Proximity to the bloodshed literally equaled political power. Senators sat right at the bottom on fancy marble seats. Right above them the knights, then the wealthy citizens, the poorer citizens, and way, way at the very top, in the steep wooden nosebleed seats, were the women and slaves. Talk about a strict seating chart, right?
Getting to those seats was an exercise in intense crowd control. Out of 80 total entrances, 76 were numbered. You had a ticket with a number, and this highly advanced management system funneled you through dark corridors and stairways until you emerged exactly into your assigned social bracket. You simply didn't mingle with other classes. It's the ultimate VIP versus general admission system. The emperor, of course, had his own grand, unnumbered entrance leading straight to the imperial box, making him the absolute center of attention. As archaeologist Valerie Higgins points out, you really were, in a very literal sense, put in your place. By attending the games, the populace was participating in a socially reinforcing act. Everyone saw everyone else exactly where they belonged. It quietly but firmly maintained the hierarchy and kept the populace completely compliant, all while offering them the greatest show on earth. It was total control, but without the need for a dictator's sword. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about how these ancient blueprints still resonate today. Look around our own world, at our massive stadiums, our multi-million-dollar media spectacles, and our highly structured public events. Ask yourself, what are our modern colosseums, and how are they shaping our place in society today?